is the capital of South Dakota? I don't know. That'd be funny if I broke it on this platform thinking of the capital of South Dakota. Sam had one of those computer leapfrog things. She'd know. When she was 4, she'd know all the capitals. You can scrunch and make platforms just exactly how I want them with this abrader. Isolate them and get them the right level, and then give them the cross grind. And you only grind, I'm not grinding up and down the edge, I'm only grinding where my platform is. Once I get this thing the right thickness, and I'll probably switch to hammer stones to do the finishing work, which is ass backwards from most people would think. You start with a hammerstone and you go to Antler, but on certain kinds of work I like to do the opposite and just do the Antler because it's so fast for my percussion since I'm used to it. See that little high spot on the edge right here? That if I ground that and hit that hard, I'd break the piece. Need to get that little nub out of the way and lower that and get it right. So I'll get in there and scrunch like this to come back to it. Take a little, knock the edge off. See how I got rid of that? Come back over and remake the platform. Little isolation. See that ridge right here? Get this stuff out of my way so I don't hit it. Scrunch this little back thing. Make a little isolation. Now we don't have our little, blurb there. Grind it really good. Support it. Oops. Hit that little fin. Hit that quite right, but you got an okay flick. So. Ouch. See all those pressure flakes I can take off with that scrunch? Did a little too much, but isolate. Same thing. When I work from the back, if I hit this here, that flake will run to the support where it runs out, and I'll get a reverse hinge. It'll dive through and cut the piece. So here I'll try not to hit the camera lady with my elbow. Support the piece out like this, just like when you're fluting, and take it down that way. I like to work from the back around, keep the back in order and tapered, and establish my thickness, and then work to it from the sides and blend in. It's easier for me to do it that way. On most styles, I guess we'll make a dogleg thebes out of this. That was from an earlier flick. What is that? If you grind them right, you can hit them twice. If you undergrind stuff, you get shatter. That's why isolation is isolated spot grinding with a little bit heavier grind is the way to go. So yeah, I just hit that 3 times. Whoops. I kicked it, hit it, and then kicked that flake off. It's not very good. Need to fix that. Everybody gets problems. You work in a way and keep edge thickness in certain areas and take flick strategically so that you have ways to get around problems. The only difference between experienced snappers and non-experienced snappers a lot of times is not the accuracy of the it's protecting yourself. I guess you can make an analogy with chess. You know, you make moves to set yourself up where there's symmetry on the board. I don't know why I need a freaking chess analogy, but for those of you who think in those terms, it's about placement and defense. Just show Rico real quick. That's funny. The important thing is to feel the point inside the rock, so where you know where you just get a sense when you took a bad flake that's into that you know that you imagined a straight line along your edge and you imagine the point in there and you want it to be a certain thickness, so you get a feel for those flakes that take too much. For instance, if I set up a platform here and took another flake out this side, you know, the finished point is not far below this flake, and I have to keep that in mind and build the areas around it into it and keeping it convex, because see how there's a little droop to this? See how this curls a little bit? Well, the finished point is going to be symmetrical and straight. But if I start taking the wrong flakes in some of these areas where I've got a lot of removal, you know, don't want to do that. I bet this edge is showing up really good, isn't it? Nice. My billet is a little soft. This is heated rock is glassy, and I'm leaving a little antler on there. See how I'm doing that isolation with the billet? Building that ridge and shaping. And all the little work that I could do with a pressure flake, I'm doing with this scrunchy thing. So even little flakes like that. Brush it down. Come in here with the hammerstone. A little bit more. Now look, and you can do it. It's even so fine. A lot of times you have to do that little grind back like that. You know, and if you use carborundum abraders, you can't do that unless they're very fine. They just having a grit to be able to scrunch and turn makes it so much easier. I'm not going to hit that now because it's a little flat right there. I'm going to work back up to this here and leave it. There's no making platforms and leaving them. And they're not going to get in your way. Work from the other edge. Instead of just going back up here and trimming this down. Every time I'm working up the edge and I still want to go this way, where I encounter places on the edge, instead of just trimming and trimming and trimming to set it up, smooth back into, you know, you have to do that eventually for this side anyhow. So, smooth it back. And then when everything is ready, you can take your big flakes. Boy, there's a lot of glare out here off this shiny rock. See how nice and organized that is now? To this side. All of that's just nice and smooth, so I can come back and use some